There's just so much.
You're listening to a Mamamia podcast.
Mamamia acknowledges the traditional owners of land and waters that this podcast is recorded on. Hello and welcome to Cancelled, the podcast that looks at silly celebrity crimes and assigns charges and sentences to them so we can all move on with our lives. I'm Claire Stevens and I'm joined by
Jessie Stevens.
And Jessie, do you have a lazy girl story?
I do. I have one from Georgie, and she writes, I have a lazy girl story with a sub-genre of true crime.
Oh, wow.
Okay, so we love a sub-genre.
Oh, we love a crossover.
The places this has taken us. Remember the ghost era? Anyway.
Oh, I want more ghost lazy girl stories
Let's
about
do
being
a call.
haunted.
We got a lot of those come in. A lot of them. This is an unsimilar.
Okay.
Similar.
Okay.
However you say it. When I was in my mid-20s, I lived in a ground floor unit. My boyfriend would leave his car on the street outside my bedroom window. You're seeing this? You're seeing...
It's the exact setup of where I currently live, yes.
Okay. So it's about 1 a.m. in the morning, she says.
Yeah.
1 a.m. in the morning as opposed to the M1.
Love to clarify.
And we were drifting off to sleep when we heard what sounded like a car being hot-wired. We looked out the window and we saw my boyfriend's car heading off down the road. The logical thing to do would have been to call the police. Claire, what did you do?
Did she go back to sleep?
Well, she called the police. It would have been a whole, and I quote, thing. We'd have to get up, put clothes on, wait for them to arrive and make a statement. Who knows how long that would take? Exclamation mark.
Yes.
We decided that the best thing to do would be to go back to sleep and leave it to fate.
Lazy girl.
She's a lazy girl.
Oh, wow.
It was only a 1990 Toyota Camry. We woke at about 9 a.m. Not even early.
Not early.
I reckon that she probably woke up at about 6:15 a little anxious and then went, oh, we should, and went back to sleep.
Yeah.
To a phone call from the local police. Sorry, she was awoken by the local police saying that the car was found in the playground of the local primary school. The car was perfectly fine. Plus, we got a good night's sleep, exclamation mark. I love
That's
that.
incredible.
I love it.
Okay, another lazy girl move is not intentionally, but it's a lovely lazy girl coincidence when you're in an accident and your car gets written off and it's like, it was on its last legs.
Yeah, but you need someone else to hit it.
Yeah, you need
You've always
someone
been the
else
other person.
to hit it, and then you're like, car's been written off.
No, there's way too much admin involved in that.
No, okay.
I'm pretty sure you've got to get on the phone.
No, our brother, it happened to our brother and he doesn't know how it happened, but he got his car back fully fixed and sold it for $5,000, even though he's like, that car was worth nothing.
Sounds illegal. What I will say about that is that, do you remember we were once away on holiday and I was drifting off to sleep and I saw a hand come into the window and steal my mum's handbag?
Yeah.
I mean, I was drifting off. But it had her car keys in it.
Yeah.
And that was going to be a whole thing. And then I remember at 5 a.m. they started banging on the door and I was like, will you not let us sleep? Take our things, sure. But it's the middle of the night. Let us sleep.
Let us sleep. Why not rob during the day when we're out?
Yes, it was all a big fuss and I just thought, I know, we should call the police. And then you've got to wait for the police. And I was like, can I nap between? Because it's just...
Got to do a police report. It's just a lot. Anyway, speaking of police, on today's episode, we're talking about Russell Brand.
Hello, my name's Russell Brand.
But now, to a media reckoning over Russell Brand.
Hey, let's cheer the idea of sex.
Russell Edward Brand is an English presenter, comedian and actor. He is also an activist and campaigner and has won British Comedy Awards and been nominated for a BAFTA. In the last few years, he's become increasingly big on YouTube with over 6.5 million subscribers. But then in September last year, YouTube took down one of his videos because it contravened their policy on medical misinformation.
If there was an Olympic medal for that, then I should be surely adorned.
So he moved his channel to a platform called Rumble.
Oh, I've heard of Rumble.
Yes, where he launched a new daily live show. The amount of content some men make daily.
Imagine
live.
thinking, I mean, I know why I do it. Do I speak every day into a microphone and publish it? Yes. Do I think it's all quality? No. And I've never claimed that it is. But he gets on literally for hours and hours and he speaks without pausing.
No.
Like in this sort of frenzied
And it's like, in his defense, of course, he's going to get things wrong. He's talking
exactly.
that much.
This is a Joe Rogan defense.
Yeah.
Like, it's good to know self-defense.
I mean, the man is creating 5 hours of content a day. Let him live.
I know. So his daily live show is called Stay Free with Russell Brand. Now, Rumble has become popular among the right and the alt-right, and it's been said that as an alternative social media platform, it's immune to cancel culture. Brand has 1.4 million subscribers over there. And
there are 1.4 million people even on Rumble.
Yeah. And other...
Do you have to pay for it?
No. I don't think you do. I think you can like monetize it somehow. I don't know. Anyway, friend of the cancelled courtroom, Andrew Tate, also has a platform on Rumble.
Isn't he in prison?
And I said, I've got in my notes, I think that man went to actual jail after our episode, actually.
I don't think he's allowed to be on the Rumble when he's in the jail.
No. Anywho, Brand was born in Essex, and he has spoken and written about how he started using illegal drugs in his teens. We're not here to prosecute that. He didn't start to make a name for himself in comedy until the early 2000s, but a fun fact that I thought you'd really like is that in 1994, he appeared in a few episodes of The Bill. Nan would have loved that.
I loved The Bill. What did he do in that?
I don't know. It was just in it.
That was a great show.
Yeah. So good on him. So
that was like a first, like early era British crime drama.
Yeah.
Very great.
I remember the opening and the steps.
And it was just the steps.
Yeah. So he's written about his heroin and alcohol use and his sex addiction. And it was a big part of his persona as he started doing stand-up and television presenting and radio.
And he had the mad hair.
Yeah, it was too teased.
It was very Jack Sparrow.
Yeah. It looked like he didn't watch it very much.
No.
Obviously, the reason Russell is in the news now is because last month, following a joint investigation by The Times, The Sunday Times, and Channel 4's documentary series Dispatches, 5 women publicly accused Brand of rape and sexual and emotional abuse. The allegations concern incidents between 2006 and 2013, and they were featured in a documentary, Russell Brand in Plain Sight, which quite chillingly shows the allegations of these women against him alongside his media persona, which was eerily similar to what these women
He was kind
claimed.
of claiming it, right?
Yeah.
Like he would go on stage and tell a joke about sort of forcing a woman to give him oral sex, and then a woman was like, no, he actually did that.
Yeah.
And it's like, you don't say.
Brand has denied the allegations.
Amidst this litany of astonishing, rather baroque attacks are some very serious allegations that I absolutely refute.
He maintains his relationships have always been consensual. Now, police are currently investigating some of the allegations from those reports, as well as others that weren't made public by media. So those crimes are for a real courtroom.
You're saying we're not a real courtroom.
Well,
How dare you?
How dare you?
we're a different kind of courtroom, but all I'll say is this. Jesse, can you please read this headline from established media publication, The Onion?
Nation could have sworn Russell Brand was already convicted sex offender. This is exactly what I thought. When the things came out, I was like, oh, we've been here. And we've said this before. Sometimes in a courtroom, you go off vibe. And you don't always need all the information. You don't need the evidence. But you get a sense of someone from how they look. And Russell Brand looks like he's done
Predatory.
some bad things.
One of the key inspirations behind this very haircut was a gentleman I met called Rael. Rael runs an extraterrestrial cult. He believes that aliens... Don't judge him for that. He says that aliens can communicate messages to us through our hair. So I thought, take that to its natural conclusion, try and reach out to them a little bit.
Luckily, because we're not a real courtroom, we have plenty of other crimes to talk about without having to actually go to the law book, interview, etc. And some of them cross over with the ones police are investigating. My structure for today is as follows. His behaviour towards our Liz and our Danny, what he did to Katy Perry, being a terrible employee, COVID denial, and the big conspiracy. Jesse, his behaviour towards our Danny and our Liz. Obviously, it's on the record that Russell Brand has behaved in a manner that is gross and indecent and potentially illegal towards a number of women.
That is under investigation.
But there's something about Australian culture that is incredibly self-centred. And if we're going to talk about Russell Brand, we're going to need to talk about how he has treated our national treasures publicly. In 2006, Dannii Minogue...
Isn't she the sister of Al Kylie?
Yeah, she said in an interview that Brand was a vile predator. 2006.
And Danny, she wouldn't say such a thing if it weren't true.
Oh, she
Danny
wouldn't
has never
lie.
been found to lie.
No, and she doesn't court drama.
Oh, no, she's not a dramatic woman.
She'd done a TV interview with Brand and then she was interviewed by The Mirror. And she said, "He is completely crazy and a bit of a vile predator. I certainly don't think he has cured his sex addiction, that's for sure. He wouldn't take no for an answer. He always goes that step too far. Never quite far enough to slap his face, but usually too far. He's obviously very intelligent, but he wears more makeup than I do. Normally I love guys with eyeliner on. It can be very sexy, but not on Russell."
I agree. I remember Robert Mills wore eyeliner on Australian
And
Idol
that
and I
was
found
sexy.
it very sexy and lovely.
Absolutely, no way.
So this isn't about the eyeliner?
No.
Okay.
She's saying he's not hot with the eyeliner because throughout the whole interview, he kept making shocking remarks that I can't even repeat. Just uttering the words would make me blush.
So wait, was the interview recorded?
Yes.
And what did he say?
Well, you can't see it because it was that era of television where, like, we don't have a record of everything. So it was the Russell Brand show. He was interviewing her in, like, a panel discussion.
Yeah.
There's a few clips of the Russell Brand show that have been resurfaced,
Yeah.
but not this one.
Okay.
Danny doesn't deserve that.
No.
Neither of them are no existers.
She's a national treasure.
Deserve that. And she would never make stuff up. Then there's Liz Hayes. Again,
Oh, not our Liz.
royalty. In 2012, she interviews Russell Brand for 60 minutes. Do you remember this? Do you remember watching this?
I don't, but I would have.
When I went and watched this, I went, no, I remember this. And it did feel weird
Okay.
at the time. So the interview's over. And they're standing on, like, what looks like a set. Like maybe outside the 9 studios. And Russell Brand grabs Liz Hayes and kisses her on the lips. And
Oh,
is just
no.
all over her, like groping her, touching her. He then says, "I can undo your bra just like this," tries to undo her bra.
See like this. Russell. All right, take care. Russell, I can undo your bra just like this. Liz, I love you.
This is Elizabeth Hayes.
Madam Elizabeth Hayes.
She has been a reporter for over 40 years. You leave her alone. You don't touch her.
Not her bra.
She doesn't want to kiss you. She wants to interview you because she is a consummate professional.
It reminds me, in this era, and in fact a little bit earlier, do you remember Robbie Williams? Every time he did an interview, he'd kiss a woman on the lips. Can we look at Robbie Williams? Because I feel like
great
he has to
point.
be cancelled. It used to be a bit of a stunt. I reckon Robbie Williams kissed Yumi Steins on the lips. That is a core memory of mine.
Now Yumi's here. Have you introduced yourself to Yumi? It's she's trying out today.
Yeah, you're doing really well. It's your first day. What a pleasure to meet you. Are we going to snog? Should we?
Oh! What a way to start the day. Shall we have a seat?
We can't just have men grabbing women's faces and
No,
kissing them when
no.
they have nothing left to say.
No.
Now, what he did to Katy Perry.
I remember
Speaking.
this from the documentary and I never forgave him.
Oh, never. If you feel like you need a cry, may I suggest you watch the masterpiece that is the 2012 film, Katy Perry, Part of Me.
I watched it. I loved it so much. I went and saw her in concert at 25. Can't not cry when I hear Roar.
There is a scene where Katy Perry is crying backstage.
I'll explain it. She's crying backstage, sorry, and she's got to go on stage, and we've all been there. We've all had 100,000 people waiting for us to perform, and they're all, Katy, Katy.
They're going, firework, sing firework.
Firework, exactly
It's like,
right.
well, I do feel like a plastic
I
bag.
want to hear you roar, is what they're saying. And
yeah.
they're all chanting and chanting, and it's Katy, and she's so like...
And she's got colourful hair and she's
she's
just,
got all her dance routines.
Yeah.
And her husband, Russ, he ain't calling her back.
Well,
And they were married, weren't they?
yeah.
For a brief period. And he was being distant. She was trying to call him. And I think that they're in the midst of a breakup. And so we have this moment of her laying there. She's so exhausted. She's so heartbroken. But we know that Katy needs to get back on stage because Katy puts her fans first.
And there's the awkward tension between Katy laying there. She's got sunglasses on. She does not want to get up. And everyone in the room being like,
Katy,
you got to perform. Otherwise, I don't get my paycheck.
I don't get my paycheck. And honestly, refunding is complicated.
Yeah.
It is.
You have 2 options. You can cancel the show, or you can do your best.
Start, Todd.
So that was actually after the moment that Russell Brand texted her to divorce her.
That's right.
So they'd been together for 14 months. He divorces her via text.
Poor communication.
Katy said in an interview with Vogue the following year that she hadn't heard from Brand since that message.
Oh.
He just says, BT Dubs, gonna divorce you.
What's
He
interesting,
filed.
The man isn't short on a few words.
No.
The man's YouTube channel contains 9.5 million hours of that man speaking. Pick up the phone and speak to Katy. Right?
She'd like an explanation.
Exactly, for why you did that. And I bet it was a short text. No. At least do a voice memo.
I'm a tricky little swine. I'm a trickster. I'm a raven. I'm a playful coyote. Looking for mischief.
Just a quick recap of their relationship. They met in mid-2009 when Katy Perry filmed a cameo for Get Him to the Greek, which was ultimately cut from the film.
I feel like we need to watch that and cancel it because that just feels... He's not Greek. Was he meant to be Greek?
I don't know.
Oh, I think I'll need to watch
He was
it.
reprising his role as the guy from Forgetting Sarah Marshall.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, because he can't act. I mean, that's a crime in itself, but the man cannot act.
No, he can act himself.
Yes.
Which sometimes is very compelling.
Yeah.
Hey, all right, Peter. Nice to meet you, mate.
My ex-boyfriend.
Oh, right, hey, I'm all the snow.
I know who you are, yeah, you're very, very famous.
Yeah, I am, for my sins.
When it suits the character. But Katy Perry, a busy lady, filmed a cameo, didn't get included.
Oh, we don't waste Katy's time.
No, so very odd. But they meet again at the MTV Awards in September of that year, and by New Year's Eve, they're engaged.
He's a very fast on, fast off kind of man. I can see that he could be very charismatic in the moment. He could really woo you, really get you on side with his kind of philosophy 101 vibe. And then he texts you when things get hard.
Asking for a divorce.
Yep.
They then marry in October the following year. They're together for 14 months. In October 2011, Russell Brand and Katy Perry announced they had switched to a vegan diet.
Oh, that's nice.
It was December where he dumped her via text. And I just think, who goes from going vegan together to getting divorced so quickly? That's such a huge decision.
Going vegan together is a real milestone in their relationship. And the question is, when they broke up, do we stop with the vegan?
I know.
Were we keeping each other accountable? I think he's still vegan.
I believe he's still vegan. I'm just not sure. I'm not sure
about Katy. I think Katy would love a burger.
Yeah, but
once in a while.
Yeah, but Orlando seems quite woo-woo.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
Oh, no, I do actually need to know whether Katy Perry is still a vegan. Because I think that the first thing you do when he texted you is I'd go, no, screw you, I'm having a steak. But then, is she still a vegan? Google. I knew it. She's 95% vegan. As I said, burger once in a while, a good burger, not a cheap one.
Did somebody say men you love? Ding dong, ring a ding ding, they say men you love.
Apparently one thing that contributed to the divorce, and Perry has said this, is that she wasn't ready to have children. And she was literally like 26, 27 when they were together.
Yeah.
Leave the woman alone.
Her body clock had time.
Brand was a decade older, and it's like, this is why you need to talk about this stuff before you get married.
Poor communication again.
Very true, yeah.
In another interview with Vogue, Perry spoke about her controlling ex-husband and their really hurtful marriage. She said she had initially blamed herself for their breakup until she found out the real truth about her ex. She said, at first when I met him, he wanted an equal. And I think a lot of times strong men do want an equal, but then they get that equal and they're like, I can't handle the equalness.
Well said, Katy.
He didn't like the atmosphere of me being the boss on tour.
She's a strong woman, just listen to Raw.
So that was really hurtful and it was very controlling, which was upsetting. I felt a lot of responsibility for it ending, but then I found out the real truth, which I can't necessarily disclose because I keep it locked in my safe for a rainy day. I let go and I was like, this isn't because of me, this is beyond me. So I've moved on from that. Katy fucking knew.
He was a criminal.
She knew, and she hinted at it a decade ago, but she was classy enough.
Well, I don't know if that's classy. If you know your husband's a criminal, it's not classy.
Oh, no, it wasn't her story to tell. Well, wasn't her story to tell.
Oh, if my partner was, if I knew that he was a criminal, I'm going to be honest, depends on the crime. Speeding ticket. That's not a crime, but you know what I mean. That's a little small fish. But if I knew that he was guilty of sexual harassment, I don't know if it's classy to sit back and say not my story.
We don't know if that's what she knew, because she may have just known that, for example, he likes very young women and not at an illegal point, just at a creepy point. But she knew something is my point.
Something. Or she could have known that he was cheating on her. Like, that's the other thing, right? Which isn't illegal, but it is in this courtroom.
Mm-hmm. Jessie, should divorcing someone via text be a crime punishable by law?
Oh, absolutely. I checked our book and it is. It's not been here before. And that's the problem with our rule book, is that it is written on the fly. Because I consulted it, there's only 3, crimes. Being lazy, throwing shit at a wall.
Shame on me, full on
once. And also being not nice. That's pretty much our whole thing.
It's pretty vague law book.
And I think, here's an idea, divorcing someone via text goes under not that nice.
Yeah. I think what this case does, it sets a precedent.
Yes, well said.
Yes, in our law book.
Yes.
Jessie, being a terrible employee. Here's what doesn't make sense about Russell Brand. The man has consistently been a horrific employee who has been fired more times than I can count for terrible behaviour. However, he just kept falling upwards and getting more and more opportunities. Here are all the ways he was bad at his jobs. Brand gets his first presenting role in 2000, presenting a show called Dance Floor Chart and another request show called Select at MTV.
What kind of potato would you use?
No potato.
Hey, do that thing where you took your bra off.
He was eventually dismissed because a few days after the September 11 attacks in 2001, he came to work dressed as Osama bin Laden.
Oh.
Yeah.
You mismooded.
You missed the mood. But he also brought his drug dealer to the MTV studios, so he was also in trouble for that.
Okay.
In 2001, he got kicked out of a comedy gig for provoking an audience member. He said the incident inspired his path to sobriety. So at that time, he was losing all sorts of jobs because he had to go to rehab. He was doing heroin. He was an alcoholic. He was a sex addict. Then it's 2008. During a live show in Northampton, Brand makes a hoax call to an emergency rape line set up by police, saying he had seen a man responsible for a number of local sexual attacks. So these police had been reporting on, there was like an underpass and this guy kept sexually assaulting people. They've set up an emergency line for anyone who spots this guy or has any reports. And Russell Brand does a prank call on stage to those police, thinking it was funny. One woman who worked at a rape crisis centre said, "I don't think that's particularly amusing. It's very poor taste. The issue of sexual assault is often belittled and such callous behaviour is extremely hurtful to the victims." One Guardian journalist said it showed catastrophically poor judgment.
You know, sometimes creatives talk about the third idea, right? Which is when creatively you sometimes have something come to mind and you go, why don't we blah? Often it's shit. The second idea, slightly less shit. The third idea, actually creative.
Do you think that's idea 1 or
I
1
think
and a half?
that passes through your head and you go, oh, what a shocking. You know how people talk about intrusive thoughts? And then you go and see a psychologist and you're like, oh my God, I had this awful thought that I poked my dog in the eye and it was awful. It's like he thinks, I could poke my dog in the eye, and then he does it and then he's like, I'm a prankster? No.
We don't do
That's an intrusive thought that we don't even say out loud, let alone do it on stage.
He apologised for the call, but it's like, I don't know, don't do it during a stand-up set.
Yeah,
It's also not funny. Also in 2008, on the Russell Brand show, Russell and...
How did that man get a show now?
Oh, he had so many shows, so many opportunities.
I don't know if any of them were ever that big. It was just like, let's give that Russell Brand a go.
It was like there was one man in the UK who could possibly host anything, and it was Russell Brand.
You and I have said off the record that there are, and often it's men, that are given too many chances.
Thank you.
And too many opportunities.
You know this guy who's, been the face of 16 failed projects? I'm thinking we give him a go. No. Everything he does is mediocre.
He's had a chance.
He's had a chance. He failed. Let the man go and work in some other industry.
And
because
let's give someone else a turn.
Yeah.
Maybe a lovely lady.
Yes, exactly.
Jess, Russell Brand and Jonathan Ross were on radio and making a bunch of prank calls to 78-year-old actor Andrew Sachs. They wanted to interview him on air. When he didn't answer, they left voicemails.
This is very Kyle, but every now and then Kyle makes me laugh. Like the time that he called his friend Carlos after the brawl. And he left a very funny message on his phone. I went, no, that's a bit funny, Kyle. Otherwise, very bad. You can go back and listen to our cancelled on Kyle's anyways.
Yeah, Kyle has a lot to answer for. Anyway, so they left these voicemails, including one where infamously Jonathan Ross said to the phone, he effed your granddaughter. And
As in Russell did?
Russell. So he's doing this prank call to Andrew Sachs and he says, by the way, this guy effed your granddaughter.
Cool.
Now, when you were doing...
fucked your granddaughter.
That's his answer phone!
I'm sorry.
Even if we play it
I'm
out the
sorry.
show!
I'm sorry. I apologise. Andrew, I apologise.
Still on the answer!
Now, Russell had dated Andrew Sachs's granddaughter, Georgina Bailey, and she has come out.
You're saying she has a name.
Yeah, no, instead of just she. And Russell had slept with her, and that had such awful consequences on her mental health. She went to rehab. She had, it was an absolutely appalling and humiliating thing to do to this woman.
Yeah.
Now, the comments were broadcast on the pre-recorded show, which, again, it's pre-recorded. You don't have to run this.
Yeah, cut it.
Cut it. And a story about the calls by the Daily Mail generated heaps of complaints. Brand resigned from the BBC while Ross was suspended without pay. The BBC was later fined £150,000 by Britain's broadcast regulator for airing the calls.
Oh, that is a man who's had too many chances.
Yes. And the BBC Trust said that the phone calls were a deplorable intrusion with no editorial justification.
Yeah.
Which is an understatement.
I mean, if only we could have looked at Russell's back catalogue and seen some sign that he would say something so
Stupid.
inappropriate.
Yes. Was there no one else who could take these opportunities? He also had several opportunities, like I said, that he had to drop out of because he went to rehab, which is fine and good for him. And he had a manager who would say, you need to say no to this Big Brother gig because you need to go to rehab. But for most people, that would have an impact on your career trajectory. For Russell Brand, there was always a new gig just waiting.
Not for Russell.
Jesse, COVID denial. In a bizarre move, Russell Brand went from being a left-wing radical thinker calling for revolution in the 2010s.
I'll make a confession. There were a few things he said as an early lefty that I went, yeah, I like that.
Mostly, burn it all down.
Burn it all down. He would
Capitalism
say, burn it all
sucks.
down. Capitalism is the enemy. It was very Marxist, very lefty, very progressive. Did I see the irony in how rich he was? He was powerful, he was famous. Yes, but he seemed relatively self-aware. And I thought, this guy isn't the worst of them.
He did something called the Trues.
Here's some trues.
Yes.
The True News.
Every now and then he'd make a point. I remember thinking, terrible name. Terrible name.
Trues, that was the first idea.
True News, I went, no, that's not.
That's not quite it.
No, it's not quite it.
It was, you were on the way to an idea and you
First
stopped.
idea.
You
First
stopped.
idea.
Yes.
He went True News, Trues. No, let's just spend 10 seconds.
And it was very, wealth is not evenly distributed. Capitalism is a sickness.
Great.
Buy my book, come to my show, subscribe to my
yes,
YouTube channel.
Yes.
Where
and
I'll
subscribe.
advertise things.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was very that.
It was very that. Then he just suddenly swung to the alt-right during COVID. And it was a shock.
I'm not going to say it was the same time he got into an ice bath, but it wasn't not.
Make yourself freezing cold. I'm just a regular guy in his pants kissing a leaf.
Yeah, the ice bath is a part of it.
He got into an ice bath and he started saying some crazy things. And it's like, sir, you are cold. It's
Get
okay.
out of the bath.
You don't need to be that cold. It's England. It's cold enough. You don't need to be freezing in the ice. Have a towel, sit under a doona, and then talk.
His YouTube channel was receiving about 100,000 views per video when he was doing the Trues, right? Then when he started going full conspiracy theorist, they started to be viewed by millions. Right. So just a little tip for our listeners. It works content-wise. If you look at his YouTube channel now, here are some of the titles of his videos. In capital letters, bombshell, lab leak report.
Okay.
You've been lied, capital letters,
Yeah.
to about why Ukraine war began.
Oh, I knew Russell would know.
Bill Gates
He would.
has been hiding this and it's all about to come out. Apparently, it all started with him briefly mentioning something called the Great Reset, which was a vague set of proposals from a think tank about rebuilding the global economy after COVID. But parallel to that actual report, there emerged this theory that the Great Reset was actually a plot to control the world's population and strip people of their freedoms. So he kind of mentioned it and said, no, it's just that there are plain economic interests that influence the direction of international policy.
Okay.
Like, obviously, everybody's trying to work out how to reset post-COVID. But then, clearly, like, it's quite transparent, but it's like everyone really liked it when he talked about the Great Reset.
So he kept talking about it.
So
It's so interesting when he was so left-wing, he went all the way around and he became right.
I know.
It's like he was turning in a circle and then suddenly he was like, I'm Donald Trump. We didn't see that coming.
Genuinely. So subsequent videos were like, the Great Reset is happening and it's not a conspiracy. And
it's a conspiracy when they
you
yell
say
that. It's not a conspiracy.
He regularly started to suggest that the only reason vaccines were being recommended was because money was changing hands, not because they were reducing the number of people dying, for example.
Is he an alien guy? I feel like
UFOs are everywhere. Well, not everywhere, mostly in the sky.
I would bet
Oh
money.
my God, sorry. Yes, huge. Went down a rabbit hole about UFOs,
I
which
knew it.
people said actually harmless. Actually, go down the UFO.
Yeah.
Go down the UFO rabbit hole.
He's done. Okay, so he's done. Remember Under the Skin? That was not a bad podcast every now and then.
Yeah.
But he did an episode called 189 UFOs, 4 exclamation marks. Why now?
Phone home.
I knew he was an alien guy. He should just be that. I have
Get into
no
aliens.
problem with a white man sitting around talking about whether or not aliens exist. No problem at all. Not my content, but harmless.
And I'm sure it will find an audience.
Exactly. It's when they inevitably
Start talking about conspiracies with other things like medicine and government.
Well, apparently he's very 9/11 conspiracy theory as well.
Yep, 9/11 conspiracy, hates Bill Gates, something to do with the badge that Bill Gates wears that says he wants to take over the world. In September 2022, he claimed that things like vitamin D and ivermectin had been unfairly criticised by the mainstream media and the government, and that those same bodies were now quietly admitting that they worked. And he claimed that the National Institute of Health had added ivermectin to the list of COVID treatments.
Is that true?
No.
Oh.
So he said...
It sounded true.
He said yesterday they added it to the list and...
Oh, well, that's easy to check.
And remember, they
Yes.
always said it didn't work.
They made fun of us, he'd say.
It wasn't true.
Oh.
Ivermectin was on a list of antiviral treatments that they were evaluating. And study after study had shown the drug was not effective as a cure, treatment, or preventative measure for the disease. Now, he actually admitted he was wrong.
Oh.
And he posted an apology for that one.
Good.
He said, I saw a tweet.
And
I saw a tweet.
You know what he should have said. And this might be the charge. I got carried away.
I got really carried away.
I saw a tweet and I got carried away.
Just the fact he had started this narrative that the mainstream media was lying to all of us.
It's a fun one.
Meant that when the allegations against him came out, he was able to say there was an agenda and a conspiracy against him.
Okay, hear me out. We should do this. We should come out on this show now and say, if you hear anything negative, they are coming for us.
Because we're truth tellers.
We're truth tellers. You heard it here first.
We have a revolutionary courtroom.
We have something to say. Will we say it? We've said it. So if they come for us and they say we're bad, then yeah, you heard it here. We're not.
It's because
High
we're
five.
holding power
We're
to account.
No one will come for us.
Well, if they do, they're probably valid, actually.
No, if they come for us, actually have a look. Because it might be true and we might say sorry. Because sometimes we get carried away.
Just the big conspiracy. In a video that came out just before all the allegations against him were published, Brand said the following.
I'm aware that you guys have been saying in the comments for a while, watch out, Russell, they're coming for you, you're getting too close to the truth.
Can people start saying, please start saying this on God, it'll make us look important.
I know, on just our videos.
Okay, this is what we're going to do. We're going to put our tile up of Russell at some point. I don't know, in like 3 months, and we'll put it up and be like, listen to this. And everyone will be like, didn't you release that months ago? And we'll be like, oh, I'm busy. We're going to put that up and you're going to say, careful, they're coming for you.
Yes. Yes, or leave a podcast review.
And then
like,
we'll comment.
Truth tellers, they're coming for you.
They're coming for you, watch out. And then we will reply with the emoji of the eyes looking.
Yeah.
They're coming for us.
Yeah.
Watch out. They're going to get you.
You're getting too close to the
You're
truth.
getting too close.
I want the truth. You can't handle the truth.
Russell said,
It feels to me like there's a serious and concerted agenda to control these kind of spaces and these kind of voices. And I mean my voice along with your voice.
Like my voice along with your voice. It's like you're doing a lot of the talking.
I don't think you're really listening to what I have to say. I don't mind them using my books and my stand-up to talk about my promiscuous consensual conduct in the past. What
He
I seriously
loves using 8 words when he could use 2.
Yes. What I seriously refute are these very, very serious criminal allegations. Also, it's worth mentioning that there are witnesses whose evidence directly contradicts the narrative. Rah, 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 rah,
Where
rah.
are they?
Coordinated attack is what he says.
Yep,
it's a
yep.
coordinated
Because there
attack.
is, and we should say this actually because this is relevant, that every morning when we get into work, there's a call from the media. Capital T,
Yes.
capital M.
So when you work in the media, here's how it works. Because this is my thing about conspiracy theories. They don't account for laziness and the lack of fucks given by most people
always said
in
this.
any
Yeah,
workplace
yeah.
or industry. But no, yes, when you work in the media, you get a job in the media, which is super clearly defined. What
and
the
everyone
media
is in cahoots.
And you sign a contract that says, I have an agenda against Russell Brand. And you sign that.
Yes.
And then we get on a call every morning and we say, what's our spin going to be today? COVID. We'll
climate change.
make them get their jabs. And then we say,
that
and
does
Russell
happen.
Brand, because he's a truth teller. Ooh, scared of Russell Brand. It's very odd. That doesn't happen. That doesn't
what we
happen.
do.
You know what happens? We turn up late with a coffee.
And we miss the call. There is confusion. Someone says you're writing this story about Russell Brand, and I'm like, damn, thought it was Russell Crowe. And I've written it. I can't even get the story right. Not in cahoots.
Yeah, no one's in cahoots. Nobody has the time nor the energy. Just people can't be bothered to lie. And then someone always slips up. Like people just aren't that clever.
I'm trying to think of anything that he like.
I know. Here's the thing. There is a conspiracy in Hollywood. The man is correct. There is a conspiracy.
Oh, what is it?
But the conspiracy is that men have treated women like shit for decades, and now people are telling the truth. The conspiracy
No,
is
I think
that it was
that
all
they're-
about protecting people like Russell Brand.
No, I think the women are liars.
If there was a conspiracy, I'll tell you what the conspiracy was.
What?
All your employers giving you opportunity after opportunity, and everybody around you acting like you were royalty and not interrogating your behaviour, sir.
No, that was because he was a truth teller. Claire, have you heard the man on Aliens?
Jesse, it's time for charges and sentences. My charge. In a broad sense, it's being a wally. A wally. And I don't use that word often.
No.
But he's a wally. Regardless of crimes.
Dad, when we were kids and he didn't like someone, he'd say,
that guy's a wally.
that guy's a wally.
Yeah.
How would you describe a wally?
Bit of a dickhead.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he's a wally. More
Yeah.
specifically, because charges can start general and then get more specific.
Yeah.
I'm specifically charging him for divorcing Katy Perry via text message.
Oh, yeah.
That is the specific act that we will be putting in the
rule
cancelled
book.
law
Yeah,
book
law
and
book.
saying,
Yeah.
no, we don't divorce via text.
Can someone make a law book? Because I can't keep up.
I
We've got
know.
like 4 things in it now.
I know, how do you write it down? And there's also stipulations, like sometimes it's okay, sometimes it's not okay. It's just too much.
Okay, what's your sentence?
My sentence is, I believe that Russell Brand needs to learn very important information in his life via text. And the most important information would be the result of all of this police investigation. So what I want to happen is that Russell Brand is going around
And he says, can I be in the courtroom? No.
No, wait for the text. But he is living his life, la 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 la, about to go on stage, for example.
Yeah, in front of you,
Like
100,000.
Katy.
I mean, yeah. You're guilty.
And he gets a text that says, hey, bro, guilty
Mm-hmm.
as charged.
Yep, he gets the guilty text. And then he gets the $3 for 3 days.
Yes. And then
Your sentencing is 3 dots. And he just
you do
waits.
have to wait for sentencing.
You do.
And
And
he-
he should wait. And that's the nature of a text message. And he has to wonder, is it my connection?
Am I going to prison? And then he finds out via text message that he's going to prison. And the important thing about the mode of communication is the lack of context and information. So he doesn't find out what did I
he's guilty of.
specifically get found
Yeah,
guilty of.
Yeah.
How long am I going? Which prison am I going to?
And he calls the judge. Judge doesn't pick up.
Judge doesn't pick up.
No.
Because, and this is in the council law book, taste of his own medicine.
Taste of
Because
his own
how do you
medicine.
think Katy felt? Hey,
Yeah.
divorce.
She's got to go and sing California Girls.
You don't think she had questions?
Yeah.
Oh, why? We just got married.
She just got up. She didn't feel like a firework. She felt like
A plastic
a
bag.
Do you ever feel like a plastic bag?
flying through the wind, trying to start again.
Paper
That's what
thin.
she felt like.
Yeah. And
Yet she had to roar.
she did have to roar. And she would have had questions like, how about my Aunt Penny? She loves you.
Are you going to give her closure?
Yeah.
No.
And instead, he did absolutely nothing. And so I think he needs to find out important life information via text with a lack of supporting information. Jesse,
love it.
what's your
No,
charge?
my charge is carried away.
Okay.
My charge is
Getting carried
that
away.
he's a man who gets carried away by everything, by his own words, by
his feelings.
his feelings, by his penis, in the context of a sex addiction, not sexual assault. That is a different crime.
Mm-hmm.
But he does get carried away, and we watch it in real time often.
I think he got carried away by the YouTube algorithm.
Oh,
You
he
went,
did.
Oh, they like these words.
Yeah.
They like Great Reset.
You see him get carried away
Mm.
like 4 minutes in, and he kind of just works. He works himself up.
Mhm,
And you go,
mhm.
you've worked yourself up.
Mm.
You need a glass of cold water and a lay down, right?
Yeah.
So my sentence is, well, part of the charge, so getting carried away and going with your first idea.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yes, you're not interrogating.
Which True's was an indicative of the first idea.
Which I think, again, the issue with that is that nobody says no to him.
No.
So he just kept getting opportunities and he has ideas and everyone's like, great. No, it's not great.
No.
It's average.
No, True's is the first idea on the board, and we
Mhm.
wipe it out.
Mhm.
So my sentence is, we need to think longer on things, meditate on things,
Mhm.
okay? So every idea, rather than going with the first idea, we're going to try 45 seconds of thinking. Before, for example, you made a comment about the law book, and I thought, we should publish a law book of cancelled. And then I thought, no one would buy it. So I didn't even say it out loud.
Yeah, we
because
censor.
I'm self-editing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Silly idea. Let's just put
Steady
that to-
writes, my bookie wook. No, that was the first idea. And you went, you did it.
He was having a chat with someone, and he said, I'm going to write a bookie book.
Yeah.
My bookie wookie. And I don't know, that person politely laughed, and he went, I'll do it.
Then he wrote his bookie wook too.
And then I think he wrote like revolution or
Mhm.
resolution or something.
Revolution. Mm.
Someone in my family bought that, and
Mum.
they should return it for money.
Mum.
Why?
She said his writing was quite compelling.
She won't be buying his next
No.
because he's got carried away.
He has.
And COVID had a lot to answer for. So I think he should just think a little harder on things.
So that's the sentence is thinking for 45 seconds.
seconds to come up with better ideas.
Yeah. Okay, excellent. Jessie, that is all we have time for on today's episode of Cancelled. You can follow us at @the_twins_thoughts for receipts at some point and to flood our comment section with...
If you want to know the truth and what's the real conspiracy and who's the real truth teller, well, that would be us sharing things about this episode among sponsored content.
That is the Twins Thoughts Instagram account.
No, buy my book.
Don't buy a book.
No, do.
This episode was produced by Tahli Blackman with sound production by Tom Line. We will see you next week. Bye.